Are we good? Awesome. Hey, friends. I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen to you guys?
Nope.
No.
Good. Awesome. I'm frozen on this end, but if I'm not frozen to you guys, we're going to go ahead and just pretend like we're good. Anybody who can see us right now, welcome to Jammy Time. Can you guys post in the group? I have the Jammy Time combo thread up, but if I'm not frozen to you guys, we're going to go ahead. Goodness, there. Holy. Anybody who can see us right now, welcome to Jammy Time. Sorry, it's echoing. Post in the group. Awesome. Okay, so we've got Brittany, Deborah Roop, Jen Polito, Janelle Norman's here. Awesome. Sorry, guys, it's got a lot going on. All right, so we have 8 people on at the moment. That usually builds as we go. All right, everybody. Christina Steinberg here, Superstar Director for the team that you're on. If you're new, welcome to Jammy Time. We're doing this every Thursday at 9 p.m. Right here at the link that you went to, jammytime.freshsensefamily.com. Every week, same links. You guys don't have to memorize anything. You don't have to try to find the link that I shared. Save it in your phone. Save it as Thursday at 9 p.m. We have a special guest tonight. This is Misty Flynn. I'm going to introduce her to you guys, let you guys know a little bit about her and why you should listen to the things she has to say. She is really, really neat. I think we were already friends on Facebook. I feel like we've had like a couple conversations between now and beforehand. If we haven't, hello. But I saw her do a video pumping some consultants up in a training group, and I loved it. It pumped me up. I got really psyched, and I wanted her to share some of this with you guys. We're going to be talking a little bit about staying motivated in your business, especially new people who are new, or some of you who maybe have lost your steam along the way and you're trying to figure out where you went wrong. I want to help you guys out a little bit. With that, oh gosh, sorry, it's got like a touchscreen computer here and it's not working very well. Deidre, could you mute yourself just for a little bit until we kind of get to Q&A?
Yes.
No, you're fine. I've got Deidre here. She's going to help field some questions. We're going to let Misty talk first, and then Deidre's going to help do some Q&A and bounce some things back and forth. Deidre, if you are able to, I don't know if you're able to switch windows back and forth between the Facebook group and this, and just kind of like bring some questions to the table at the end as you can, and I'll try to do the same. But I want to tell you guys a little bit about Misty Flynn. Misty Flynn is a star director in Grimsby, Ontario, Canada. She is the star director for the team Mighty Oaks. She's amazing. She went from 0 to 175 in her group in 11 months. She went from certified to star director in 11 months. She's been with Cincy only 2.5 years, and she's earned annual sales both years. So she's got a pretty amazing credentials here. And I want her to tell you guys a little bit about staying motivated, keeping pace, not comparing yourselves, and just what a business looks like when you're first starting out and what it looks like when you're working and not getting results right away. What kinds of things are actually really happening. Kind of what we see them as versus what's really going on. So I'm going to move over to Misty Flynn. That was probably a horrible introduction. If that's not at all what you think is the scope of what we're talking about, totally let them know. I'm going to go ahead and bring you up here. I'm trying to click your face on my computer here, and I can't get it to go. Let me see here. This is a touchscreen laptop, and the mouse isn't working. And every time I touch it, there we go. There we go. Misty, when you talk, you should pop up now. That's great. And it is to you.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. You got a basic gist of who I am and what I'm doing here. And I've basically I have 3 children, so we're going to have some interruptions. But I've basically been with Cincy for 2.5 years. And in my first year, I actually kind of isolated myself and didn't really deal with anybody. I didn't have a team or nothing. I have my upline. She doesn't take the business as seriously. She's more of a hobbyist. And then my superstar director kind of saw what I was doing in my business, and she kept reaching out to me and trying to tell me that she wanted to connect. But sorry, there's a terrible echo. Can anybody else hear that?
I think it's okay. I don't hear the echo that bad.
Okay. So
space anymore though, so I don't. Everyone else might. I'm going on my phone to see if it looks better. I think it's just my connection. So
Okay.
keep going. You're good.
Okay. So basically, she was reaching out to me quite a bit my first year, and every time she'd call, I'd just kind of hang up on her because I didn't want to work with her. So yeah. So I did a video the other day, and I'm gonna read the script to you that I had read on this training group, and it just immediately struck me as somebody I needed to talk to. She's not on my team, and I don't know her, but she had basically wrote, "What do y'all do when you feel like you're not going to make it? I know it's only 1 month out of the 5 that I've been here, and I've already had a good run so far, but this month is really kicking my butt. I haven't sold anything. I've handed out loads of samples, and when following up, I never get a response, minus this morning. I've had 1 reply in all of my follow-ups, and I've even tried making videos and sending them out, still nothing. I'm not trying to be negative. I just need some amazing, sensey positivity, and hopefully someone has had this experience before and they've gotten through it." So I read that and I went, what? Yeah, I'm going to reach out to this girl. I'm going to pull her out of the crowd, and I'm going to tell her my thoughts on this. So,
hey, Misty, did I tell you that girl's on my team?
Is she? Is she watching?
That's what I fell in love with, was how you just totally just made her day and helped her out, and that just like.
Well, that makes me feel even better. Okay. Well, you know what? I didn't say her name, right? I don't want to pull her out too much.
No, you didn't. She doesn't care. You're good.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? You know what, man? We have all been there, and I read it, and I know if I saw my team pouring her heart out like that, someone on my team, I would just be all over it. And I was with her because I just didn't want her to throw her hands up in the air, because everything she was writing seemed like she was right on track with where she needs to be. But the biggest mistake she was making was she was expecting immediate results. So right away I knew that this was where she was going wrong. So basically the most common thing that I hear from people in my downline that are new is that they're taking all of the right steps, they're doing all of the right motions, and they're not having any results. And one of the things I had mentioned to her was, when you get started, you're going to do all these motions regularly. You need to be consistent, but what's going to happen is you're not going to see results right away. So what you do today isn't actually going to pay off for you until like 3 to 4 months from now. So that's where consistency comes into play, because if you're doing it constantly this month and next month and next month, then it's going to, by what you do this month pays off on month 3. What you do next month pays off on month 4, and keeping that consistency going. And you can't ever compare yourself either to somebody else, because what I do in my business is completely different than what Jacqueline Roy does in her business, and completely different than what Christina does in hers. And we all have different factors that make our business run differently. I personally really strive hard to work this business as a full-time thing. And like I was just explaining earlier, the lady who had signed me up, this is a hobby for her. This is not her full-time job. So I can't expect her to treat me like this is a full-time job and to do all the training with me. So you're doing all the right motions, handing out samples and making videos and trying to get attention, and everything you're doing is right, but you just cannot expect that to be an immediate result for you. And one of the other things that we had mentioned was basically my snowball analogy. So when I sign somebody up who's new, and what I try and explain to them is they have to understand that you have to look at this business like you're pushing a snowball up a hill, basically. And as you push that snowball, it gets heavier and it gets bigger, and you got to go up this big, big hill with this big snowball. Yes, babe.
Since Daddy's not coming to give me...
Yeah, go tell Daddy that you need help, because Mommy can't help you, please. He knows that I'm working.
Well, Daddy's not giving me fruit.
Okay, tell him. Tell him that you want a snack. Sorry. Okay, tell Dad, please. So basically, you've got the snowball, and if you approach this business and you walk into it having this kind of theory, then it makes it a lot easier when you're struggling to just kind of look at the bigger picture. So you're pushing the snowball up the hill, and as you go, you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because the end result, or where you're going with that, is you want to see the snowball roll down the other side, because as it rolls down the other side, it builds momentum and it goes faster and faster and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's just so big you can't even keep up with it. And that's what you're doing right now. You're trying to push that snowball up the hill. And if you get it 1/4 of the way or half the way and you give up and it rolls back down, you got to start all over again. You got to get that snowball and start pushing it back up the hill and start all over. So when you're starting to feel like you're not getting anywhere, if you let it go, you have 2-3 times the amount of work ahead of you to catch back up when you let it go. Now, I can tell you I do have a secret. I did not put this on my other video, but I'll share. When I'm having a moment, I set a timer. It could be a moment with anything. It could be a downline who's so frustrated with me because I'm not providing them with what they want. It could be, there's so many factors. So, or a bad customer, you name it. I'll set a 5-minute timer. And I will kick and I will scream and I will freak out and whatever, have my temper tantrum. But the moment that 5-minute timer goes off, my time is up. And now I need to come up with a solution. What am I going to do to fix it? How am I going to move on? I need to get past it. Now, that works for me. Another secret or trick that works for me is I might go on my phone, in my notes, I might write my blurb, because you do not want to share your anger at all. So I might write a little blurb in my phone, in my notes, and tuck it away and go to sleep. I might wake up in the morning and read it again, or sometimes I'll just wake up in the morning and that was enough to get it off my chest, and I'll hit delete and keep moving, okay? So when that snowball, going back to that theory, gets to the top of the hill and it rolls back down, it starts rolling so fast you can't keep up with it. This is the moment that you've been working towards, where your team starts to grow, where your sales are taking off and you're earning trips or incentives. Things are really paying off for you, and that's the point you want to get to. But guess what? It's going to fall down in a valley again, and you're going to have to pick it back up. You're going to have to roll it back up the hill. Now, there's so many dips and valleys in our business as a whole. Some of them may be a little valley, it may fall a little bit, or some of them may be really deep. And that changes from, you know, stage to stage in this business. I hit director and I felt like I rolled into a valley and I had to get out. And then I hit star director. It came back up again. It was a little valley. And then when I hit star director, I was very close to hitting superstar director right after I had hit star director. I was one away and she was awfully close. But it didn't happen. And then the snowball rolled down the hill, caught momentum. All the girls on my team just suddenly started taking off. We had a huge team of 175. And then we got into January. And that actually brings me into the 3Js. But once we got to January, it just kind of went into that gully, and it was me using the momentum to push it back up again, because there's nothing I look forward to more than the, you know, fall. We're going into it, our fall season. So I had to spend my time and really just kind of work, and still am, towards pushing that ball up the hill to maintain my customer base, to maintain my team growth, all of the things that we need to do and all of our goals. And it's a little bit harder in the 3Js, if you will. So one of the things about the 3Js, if you've ever heard of that saying, it's January, June, and July, and a lot of my girls complain about it. But here's kind of like a secret. When in my first year, because I wasn't dealing with anybody, those 3Js never really mattered to me. I didn't know. Nobody ever like kind of planted that seed in my head that these were our slow months. So when I had signed up in a January. It was double hostess, and it happened to be the free shooting star kit as well. So I totally lucked out. But that wasn't slow for me, because all of my friends and my family were supporting my new adventure. And then in June, when it would technically be slow, again, I didn't know. So I just seen things slowing down in my business, and I went, oh, okay, things are slowing down, so I need to ramp it up. And I took a look at what month we were in. I did pay attention to the factors. I realized everybody just got out of school. All of the families were taking vacations. People were going away. They have to pay for those things, and I know that Scentsi's not top on the list. So what's my target market? Well, people who don't have to pay for family vacations, people in college, university, people that might be home. That's a great target market to hit, as well as events, because people are going to events all summer long, Riv Fest, this, that, and the other thing. So I just ramped up my business. And then you have July. Well, for you guys in the States, I guess July, you guys go back to school when? In August? And just nod. Yes, in August. Okay, so we go back to school in September. So for you guys in August, July is going to be slow because they're putting their money towards buying back to school supplies. And that can be a really expensive thing in every household. I mean, I have 3 kids, and Phoebe, the one who's just been with me now, she's just going to school in September for the first time. And it's going to be expensive for us. We're just starting their back to school shopping now. So you have to consider your customers, the people who shop with you most loyally, the factors, right? Now, again, these didn't matter to me. I just looked at it like, oh, things are slowing down. Okay, so maybe I need to pick it up in these areas. And it never affected my business. So that's something else, the 3 J's I wanted to mention. Sorry, give me a sec. In my first month when I had gotten started, and this is something that I had mentioned to her as well because it seems like she's fairly new. So I went to all my friends and all my family, and I collected all my orders, and I had a really awesome starter party. It was 1,300 Canadian dollars, which was a big deal, and I was really excited about that. So I got my first paycheck in, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a rock star. I totally love this. But in February, because I was so excited about all of the business and everything that had happened to me and all the orders that I collect, I kind of got a cocky attitude, like, oh yeah, I got this licked, right? And I kicked my feet up a little bit in February, and when I got my February paycheck, I had $54. And I looked at that and I went, what? I did it to myself. I totally did it to myself. But you have to keep that in mind, that in the beginning of your business, you're going to have all the support in the world. And if you don't, you're not the only one. So, but if you do have your friends and your family and everyone's like, yeah, I'll totally support you, and you have an awesome starter party, and then it's all over, a lot of the girls will come to me and say, okay, well, now what? I've tapped everybody I know. You know, my second month sucked, which mine did too. But when it did, I stopped and
That's not giving me food.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I stopped and I reflected. Nadia, can you close the door, please? Go out into the living room, please, with Dad, and close the door. I stopped and I reflected on what did I do in my second month to contribute towards my business. And the end result was really nothing. I didn't really put that much of an effort forth to try and grow new customers and start a new business. So the people that you're going to have, especially if you're new, the people that you're going to have in your business that are your best customers, that are your best buyers, the ones who are your biggest fans and support you the most, that they may even turn into your recruits, you probably haven't met those people yet. They're still coming. And all of the motions that you're doing by handing out flyers and handing out, you know, making videos and trying to attract new buyers, those will pay off for you with that consistency, and that's what I'm talking about. But the people that, your family and your friends, they're not going to be your full-time buyers. They're not going to be the people who are your forever business growing people. You have to meet them, and I'm like the worst person in the world for meeting new people. I started this business because my doctor had given me the diagnosis of a person who doesn't leave their home, and I knew my children were suffering from this. And I mean, I would go into a grocery store, and if somebody asked me where the milk was, I would have an instant panic attack in my car. I would cry, like that bad. So I knew I needed to do something, and this business was going to force me, if I was going to be successful at it, to meet people and to accept the fact that people aren't scary. So you have to go out and meet people, and if I can do it, I'm certain 100% that you can do it too. So that's that concept. And one of the other things I had mentioned to her too was, sorry, I made some notes, but the whole concept of going to work, I keep saying the word concept, bringing that on. Okay, so the whole idea of going to work and working a 9-to-5 job, and we have a boss, and our boss gives us like a list of things that they want us to accomplish in a day, and we just go about, you know, the day, and we do what we're supposed to do, because if we don't do what we're supposed to do, you're going to get fired. They're not going to keep you. They're going to go find somebody who is going to do the job. Well, that's the hardest part with our business, because for us, we have to be self-motivated and self-disciplined to get the job done. So if you have an X amount of things that you have to do in your business in order to be successful, and you don't do them because you've chose not to, you only have yourself to blame. And that's the bigger picture. And finding the right moves and tools will come as you practice and as you go along. So you got to keep that thought in mind when you're looking at the business and growing the business and what it's going to take to get there. that consistency and self-discipline and motivation, you are your own boss. And if you're not going to get the job done, well, then you're going to have no results. So it was something else I really thought was important to mention as well. What else? It doesn't matter what stage of the business that you're at. You know, I'm super, super excited that Christina had reached out to me the other night when she did, because it happened to be one of it was just a terrible day in my business. And I had literally sat down with my husband and I said to him, you know, I just love sales. Sales is my thing. I really, really enjoy it. I sometimes feel like I struggle with my team and teaching just because I want everyone to be successful. I have such a hard time when somebody doesn't want to be successful in the business, and or if I lose teammates. I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm not good at that. Set that day, and she just happened to, it was the luck of the draw that she reached out to me and said, you've totally inspired me and I want you to work with my team and do a little video. And I'm so glad that I'm here, because it was that night and that moment where I just went, I'm not done with this business. I'm totally gonna focus on this. So you took off mute. Do you have something to say?
No, I turned myself off mute just because I figured I'd be able to interject conversation as you were kind of like, I felt like you were kind of like, you've done your thing and then kind of down so that we can start. I didn't want to interrupt.
I did everything. I covered everything that I did in the video. I tried to make a few notes so I didn't forget anything, but you know, we all have our days, right? And consistency is key, and just keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up.
I love that. Yeah, I'm always, you know, back when I first started, I used to remind people all the time that, you know, the stuff you're doing today, you're not going to see the results of that right away. The things you're seeing results to are, you know, right when you first start, yeah, you might get some instant results. But immediately you have to be in building mode. Like you have to be in seed planting mode, things like that. Somebody told me, you know, you plant seeds, you don't get the flower right away. You have to wait a season. You have to kind of wait for it to, you know, work its way to a flower. It's not going to just be one the second you put it in the ground. And I think we forget that analogy with seeds. You know, when we are planting seeds, there's a reason that the analogy is seeds, because it's going to be a slow growth. But that's how you get good growth. That's the way you build a strong business, is by brick by brick by brick by brick. It's not by just, you know, zapping a whole thing right there, like a whole house all at once, you know, whatever. It's just, yeah, consistency is key. I used to always tell my girls right when they started, the things you're doing right now, you're going to see the fruits of in 90 days. So if you're sitting here going, I can't get sales, so you stop focusing on your business.
Yes.
In 90 days, when your seeds have come to fruition or whatever, you're not going to have a business anymore. Your account was canceled, and all your people need refills. They need a consultant, and you let it go. You know, like it's that slow growth that people forget about. You know, your consistency is key. Your reputation, your influence, all of these things are things that build. The longer you keep going and the harder you work and you give it daily attention just to make sure that you're putting another brick down every single day and you're building that up. I think that's super important. I loved, you reminded me of so many things that I feel like I trained on right when I started building a team and kind of forgot about along the way.
Yeah.
I forget those nuggets, like those golden nuggets, and I love that you brought some of those back to my attention, especially like the 90-day thing. That was so true for me in my business. It was so true for my girls who started out with me. Our big thing was, you know, your 90 days, your 90 days, your 90 days. Write down the things you're doing today so that you can look back 90 days from now and try to figure out, you know, what worked, what didn't work. Also, so you can actually be like, hey, I sent out samples 90 days ago. I followed up, didn't get sales. Maybe samples, the way I was doing them, isn't effective. So you can kind of analyze your business systems and redo whatever you need to do there. Yeah, the 90 days, the things you do today, you're going to see the results of 90 days from now. If you don't work every single day, your business, you're going to already be canceled from Scentsy before you've tried hard enough, honestly. Before you've actually waited for the crop to come from the seeds you planted. So you've just got to keep working, daily efforts and things like that. So, yeah, I love that. Does anybody have any questions? I'm looking at my group because I know we're on a delay. You guys, in the Fresh Sense of Smell Air group, I did post a thread that says Jammy Time Conversation Thread. Make sure you guys go there and ask your questions. She definitely said, I have one person who says they love the snowball analogy. And one of my girls posted, she said, getting out of your circle and accepting that consistent efforts will pay off and do not expect immediate results was one of her takeaways. She also wrote, I've often heard that you could be one party away from building your team, you just haven't met them yet. Mm-hmm. It's just your next party. I always tell people, never give up on your worst day, because the next day is when the magic happens.
Definitely.
It's always when you're feeling the absolute worst, is when it's going to start getting better.
So true.
It's when you give up on your worst day, you never gave it a chance to get better. Does anybody else have questions for Misty? Like I said, she went from 0 to hero in 2 years. She is a star director in Canada. Team is 175. She's awesome. I just loved your video. I love the way you talk. Like, I could listen to you forever. Like, I want you just to call me every morning and be like, Christina, this is how we're gonna get psyched today.
See, I'm really a morning person, and I've spent all day preparing. I have a huge event this weekend, and we're going tomorrow to set up, and it goes to like 11 p.m., but we're going to be there at 9 a.m. So you caught me when I'm like starting to burn out. But yeah, I'm a morning person. I make the best videos in the morning because I wake up and I'm so fired up, and I'm like, okay, what can I do today for my business, and what's going to happen today, and who am I going to meet today? So yeah, that's totally me. Morning.
And would you say though, like that getting up and immediately thinking about your business, that was a habit you had to form? It wasn't just something that like the second you signed up, you just did naturally, right?
We call it sleepless Scentsy nights because none of us can sleep. We're all on the same page, and we just we can't fall asleep properly. Without my rest and calm in my diffuser, I have a hard time. My mind's running on overload. What can I do tomorrow? Who do I need to contact? What do I got to talk to on my team, and what should I teach my team? One of the common things you had just mentioned, you sparked a thought in my head too, was the concept that for you and me, it's so back of our hand every day that we often forget about some of the simplest routes to the business, or we forget about some of the easiest things in our business that get other people moving or that we need to explain. And I find that's one of my biggest downfalls too. And then just randomly and I'll spit it all out, and then I try to capture that on video for everybody to see whenever they want to, because I forget sometimes how difficult it is to get started.
Yeah, I think that I really honestly do forget sometimes what that's like, because I mean, it's been almost 5 years for me, which is probably why I've forgotten some of my, my core like training principles. And it wasn't even the things that I naturally just knew. They were things I discovered because I was new. I learned things just organically, what worked, and we shared those. And I think that now that I'm a little further from that, I forget some of those, like, especially that 90-day thing, because I've worked so many 90 days that my snowball or whatever is kind of
rolling. It's got that
orbiting.
Roll now.
It's
constantly rolling for us at this point. That's true, but it's only constantly rolling. Like, it does get easier as you go along, and those dips and valleys are a lot less than what they used to be. But it's because the effort getting up that very first hill when we first got started was there for me, right? I put that up.
And you know what? This is probably part of your analogy, but I just don't know if it was visually laid out there. You have your first snowball. Like, you're rolling it up the hill. It's kind of hard. You're not really sure what's going to happen. It's going so slow. Like, you feel like you mentally and physically feel every dollar you earn.
Yes.
Like, you just feel like, oh my gosh, you're so immersed in that, because you know that every minute you spend and every, you're seeing the pennies. Like, it's just pennies. It's like, is this ever going to amount to anything? And then you get to the top and the snowball rolls down and you're super excited and this is super fun. I think the difference between people who build a legacy style business and people who burn out are the people who don't start building their next snowball the second the first one starts rolling down the hill. Like, I think that it rolls down the hill and it gets in this valley, and then they're like, oh, I have to roll it up again. But if while it's rolling down, you're building another one up on the other side of the hill, I feel like it really helps keep you going. It helps keep your habits strong. It helps. I mean, even if while it's rolling, you have moments where you forget that it's rolling because you're working so hard and you're still trying to build and build and build. I just think that a lot of people, they build it up and they let that snowball go, and then when it's done, they're like, oh no, where's my business? I thought things were going great. What happened? And I think that it's one of, like you said, that February you got kind of lazy because you're like, oh, I got this. That was awesome. And I think we forget that in the snowball, all the work that it took to get to that point. And that if we aren't keeping those activities and keeping those habits going, that snowball's not going to keep going. Like we have to,
it's just going to roll backwards down the hill, and you're going to have to roll it back up again.
Yeah.
So when
if you wait for it to get all the way down, you're going to have a lot of leg work to get a new one back up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I look at it. What's more work? Just keeping the momentum, or got to start over again? It doesn't. Starting over again doesn't work for me. I'd really rather just maintain that momentum and keep the ball rolling.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's just like your goals are not your finish line. Like I always tell people, like your goals are just your stepping stones.
Yes.
Like look at it as a huge path, and you can't see the end. And every huge goal you have is just another stone on the path. It's not the finish. It's not the end. I know, like some people get to director and they're like, oh, I made it, and then they lose their whole business because they threw their feet up, they made it, and they forgot that was just the next step. It wasn't,
for me,
not the end. None of it's the end.
Start of my business. As soon as I hit it, I was like, oh my goodness, that things are really taking off. Like I really have to focus now. I felt so responsible.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, being a director, that's the beginning. There's a bee.
There's a bee in my room, she said. Hopefully he doesn't sting my bum.
Okay. I do have some questions for you.
Maybe we can come to him and get honey.
Okay. Oh, she said we can go and get his honey.
Oh, okay, good. Can you send some to me?
Come to him and see the honey. Get the honey.
Sorry. Okay, so you have some questions?
Yeah, I do have one. Any suggestions for someone who loves to get out there but only has a few people in her circle?
Yeah, that was so me. So I'll tell you how I built my business. I started in January, and in my first 9 months, I was very, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I'm more comfortable hiding behind a computer and typing words where people can't see me initially than I am now. I'm more comfortable now, but at the time I was using a lot of like buy and sell groups and moms groups and stuff to really learn to get my name out there. And what was happening was people would have to come and pick up their orders because I don't deliver. I have everybody do pickups, and when they would come to do their pickups, I would have to meet them face to face. I wouldn't really have a choice. And the way that I looked at it was, okay, when they get here, they're supporting my business, they're feeding my family by supporting my business and choosing me. So I'm just gonna go with it, and make it work. So I used moms groups and the computer and Facebook because I felt more secure hiding behind my computer where they couldn't see my face or who I was, and typing up, because I'm full of creativity and I'm really full with a bunch of ideas on how to get people's attention when it comes to business. And they all differ, and it's all trial and error. I've done ads where people don't respond, or my best friend might give me one like.
Yeah.
And I've done ads where I've also had 167 responses, and it stayed on top of the list for 7 days straight. So that one I know worked, and then I analyzed why did that work and why didn't that one work, and that was how I kind of worked with my business. So by September in my first year, I had gone from a pretty steady customer base of about maybe 40 people, and I shot up by September. It really started picking up, and by October I had 148 people that were shopping with me full time every month.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was just by using moms groups on Facebook, social media. So,
yeah. I think the important part about what you did is it's not that you, and I don't mean this bad, it's not that you have like a magical like way with words or a magical personality. I think that the key was the fact that you stuck to a plan That like you're like, this is my game plan. This is how I'm going to get sales. This is how I'm going to get, you know, and you did it, and you did consistent daily actions, things that you did every day. And if it didn't work, you went the next day and did something new. If it didn't work, you went the next day and did something new. You were never like, oh, that didn't work. I guess everybody hates me. I guess nobody, you know, like you never were like, you never took that personally. I think so many people take it personally when they get either rejected or ignored online, or, you know, or somebody reads their message and never says anything to them.
Yes.
Never take it personally. It has nothing to do with your future success.
Let me tell you, in my first year, I think I was turned into compliance like 4 or 5 times from my ads. Now, if anything would beat you down, that's it. And the reason I was beat down from it, it wasn't that somebody turned me in and I was mad. It had nothing to do with that. It was the fact that I don't have an upline who's teaching me what's right and what's wrong. I'm not comfortable dealing with my superstar because I don't even know who this woman is. I'm trying to make this business work for me, and instead of reaching out and PMing me and saying, hey, in case you didn't know, you know, you can't book a stock, or you can't do this, or you can't do that, they would just turn me in left, right, and center. And it became a thing where when I was being turned in, I was getting a lot of momentum. My snowball was starting to roll for me, and the other people in the area seen the amount of success I was getting, and they weren't seeing the same results because their effort wasn't the same in their business. I was consistent. I constantly tried something new, and when it didn't work, like I said, I would look at it and analyze, why didn't that work? Why did this one work, and why didn't this one work, and what were the factors? And the next time I go to do another ad, I would make it more effective by getting rid of this factor and adding more of this factor. Definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I was thinking I might add you to my team page if you want to like jump in and just kind of like introduce yourself on our Jammy Time thread, just so people can kind of see you. If you don't want me to do that, that's fine. If you don't want like 1,000, you would get probably 1,000 friend requests. I don't even have 1,000 people on my team. I highly recommend you add me as a friend if you like that morning motivation. Yeah.
However, I can't tell you that I'm crazy on Facebook. It's my way of, because I've been so isolated for so long, it's my way of forcing myself to just accept, roll with the punches, basically.
Yeah.
So I dance around in my kitchen, I dance around in my room, and I do a lot of really stupid videos on my personal Facebook, and you're more than welcome to enjoy them because my objective is just to make you smile every day. And if I made somebody smile on my Facebook, then I'm totally happy.
I love that. All right, guys. Hey, Deidre, I am so sorry I didn't get to you. I want to go ahead and get off of here. We're losing people. Next week, you and I, we're going to talk. If you are not familiar with fundraisers, which is our topic next week, you and I are going to come up with a topic for the week after. Okay? We're gonna jump on it. So everybody who's still with us, I hope that you guys did. I want you guys to type on the Jammy Time thread. Deidre says, hey, Stephanie.
Oh, I didn't see my phone.
Yeah, the camera's not working, but they can see us. Okay, guys, whoever's on the Jammy Time thread, I want you to type, and then I'm going to draw randomly from whoever it was, I want you to type, if you had to be okay, I'm going to do a giveaway on Jammy Time, but I need them all to type something, and then I'm going to choose randomly, and they have to do it in the next 5 minutes, or else it doesn't count.
If you could be any kind of animal, what would you be?
I was going to say, if you had to be a cowboy, what would your name be?
Oh, I like that.
All right.
If you out this country.
All right. Okay. You guys have 5 minutes on the Jammy Time thread. Right now it's 8:45 by 8:50 or 9:50. I mean, it's 9:45 by 9:50. You got to have your answer typed. If you could be a cowboy, what would your cowboy name be? Write that on the Jammy Time thread, and I'm going to do a drawing. So, and Crystal, yours is ready to go out. Thanks for winning that last week. I just have not put postage on it. You guys know that I'm the queen of not putting postage on things. So, thank you so much, Misty. If anybody wants to be her friend, it's Misty Flynn. Look it up. I'm going to add her to our team page so that she can jump on the Jammy Time thread and say hi to you guys. And thank you again so much for coming on tonight.
No problem. Thanks for saving me that day by reaching out and saying, hey.
You're
That
super
helped.
welcome. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.